So now she's going to start returning to her nonverbal baseline, so we'll see her mannerisms kind of shift back into their normal state.
But she's having a really hard time with it. I knew she would, and she's like, can you make the wake on Saturday? And I was like, I'm really hesitant to leave the house. And I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I don't know, I'll try, and I'm gonna go, but I'm not gonna tell her until it's like right before I get to be there. And
so what did she reference that? Just is Chris the guy? I'm more interested.
No, she didn't even ask me if she was just like, she's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, you can see it.
Okay. So you mentioned on your text before you were coming that there was other information that you thought of that was important again?
Yeah.
More info?
Yeah, when you get so sidetracked.
I'll look at this, will you do that? And then
I'll show you where it is.
Yeah, show me where it is.
She keeps putting her face in her hands. That is a common sign of weariness or tiredness, but it's also a common blocking thing. Think of it this way. Micro expressions and micro gestures can play out, but then you could also see the full-on expressions and gestures. Now, say you see something that you don't like to see. What do? You close your eyes or you cover your eyes. This could be towards something gruesome. This could be towards something that you're afraid of. This could be towards something you don't like. And it can portray itself in a full, like, oh my goodness kind of thing, or eye blocking or closing your eyes or anything like that. But in the smaller field, it can be something as a prolonged blink or anything along those lines. This can also be in relation to deceit. If a person is telling a lie and they know they're not supposed to say it, then they will block themselves off subconsciously. And this will come out in the same blocking gestures. So say, for instance, you block your eyes. You could also do like an ear touch or even cover. You could do a mouth cover. All of these things that are sensory receptors for you in this way that you block, those can be signs of you blocking out deceit. So is she blocking out deceit here? Maybe, but there's not enough to be able to say that that's what's going on here. I just thought it was interesting, and I'm going to keep watching from here.
Watching here, like, I will just say,
you guys talk a lot.
Oh yeah. She is like right here. So first she sends me this, and she's not even asking me about him. She's saying he looks like her ex. That's when she first brings him up. She doesn't even mention me at that point. I don't even think she realizes it's the same guy. Like, legitimately. I think this girl is so wrapped up in all the stuff that she's got going on right now that I don't think it's even processing. I mean, you can just tell by the way that she, like, talks. See, she's all upset because I asked her to not talk to the media, and it happened to be the day that her dad died, and I'm sitting here trying to comfort her.
Is this your best friend?
Yes. This girl is like my whole world.
Well, I don't know, Nichole. From everything else that I've seen from your body language, I don't think this girl is your whole world, and I don't know that you would really qualify her as your best friend. But that's really not important to this. I don't care what her relationship status is with all of the people around her. I care about her relationship and how everything played out with Chris. This next part is going to be her presenting some irregular speech patterns. Also another possible sign of nerves or deceit in the case of Nichole.
So is this a phone conversation or is this a text conversation?
No, this happened over the phone, and he told me that that was when I had said, hey, when you go to North Carolina, I really think you should try to fix things with your wife. And he kept asking, well, what about us? And I was trying to kind of take a step back and see if he would fix things before attempting to pursue things with me, because I wanted to know.
This is fascinating and something that is important to note. She verbally says that she takes a step back and she non-verbally leans back. That means that in her mind, that connection is there. When she says that she's putting space between something, she physically does that thing. So on that previous time where she leans back and does this exact same cluster that we saw, that's fascinating. That means that she really is trying to put space between her and that thing. Just a fascinating thing to be able to make note of in her nonverbal patterns. You could also hear some of that verbal stuttering as she's either processing and trying to recollect, or she's trying to come up with a lie that is believable.
But if all of these things he's saying, like, yes, we're getting separated, and yes, you know, all of these things that he's saying are happening, I wanted to know that it was like, you were doing this like you said you were prior to me coming in your life, and it had nothing to do with me, you know? And so for me, it was like, I really wanted them to fix it. I would have just left the situation.
So tell me why Shanann calling a realtor.
I don't believe that's true. I don't think she wanted them to fix it. I don't think that she wanted to leave the situation. I really do feel like she had some form of involvement in it, largely based off of not only what we've seen so far, but also during that time, her pitch changes a lot. She does that same sort of disinterested, detached pitch pattern that we saw in earlier points of possible deceit. These are all pointing me in the direction that she doesn't feel as she's saying she feels towards things. She's also now started a blocking gesture, again with her arms being crossed tightly in front of her, creating a barrier between her and the person that's more or less bringing harm to her. Even though he's not physically bringing harm to her, psychologically this is a stressful situation, and subconsciously you'll see that in blocking gestures as the subconscious mind perceives harm and blocks you from it.
And him mentioning that they were going to be divorced. Why do you think it's important?
Because so after that he was like, she's the one who called the realtor, and I remember I was like, damn, that was fast, because I knew he told me like we were going to put the house up, but they said, he was like, we didn't know how much to offer for it, and we were kind of trying to find somebody, and it like, so for the first few weeks that I hung out with him, he kind of like dragged his feet on, hey, this is happening. And then after North Carolina, he's like, yeah, she wants to put the house up, she's the one that called the realtor. And I was like kind of taken back, not necessarily at the speed of it given how long he said that they'd been separating, but the fact that she did it like the day after he supposedly sat down and had a conversation with her about, hey, do we fix this or do we not fix this relationship?
I don't like that the footage is a little bit desynced. It's making it difficult for me to see nonverbal misalignment with gestures to words, but from the rest of it with her tone and everything else, I'm still getting a good enough read as to what's going on. I don't like the tonal frying that she's doing. You can kind of hear it when it comes out, like you could hear the tightness in the throat. That will come out in times of nervousness. I noticed it here where I didn't notice it before in her nonverbal baseline that we kind of established. So while the rest of her tone sounds more baseline based, it still has this odd strain to it that indicates some nerves. She's really uncomfortable with this situation, to be expected, but let's keep watching to see if there's anything else that sticks out.
Why do you think he was removed or not interested on your Saturday night, wherever you guys were?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes like I think about these things and I feel like they're all assumptions, but at that point, like, maybe he already knew something that I didn't. I don't know. But it was just a complete mood change where he just didn't even seem that interested. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, we don't have to do that on Wednesday if you don't want to. And he's like, no, I know I need to get it done. And I was like, all right.
Okay.
You know, because I wasn't going to like force him to do it. If he doesn't want to do it, don't do it. Just say no, you know. And I was like, and for me, I was like, I was just offering to help because it's like, I know what a tedious task it is trying to find a new place to live.
Right.
So during that time, she starts using this odd verbal pattern with a lot of likes and you knows. She doesn't use that elsewhere, and she has a lot of like possible insecurity in this. Now there's two reasons for that. Either one, she really doesn't know, or two, she doesn't have any confidence in what she's saying. And she did know, and she's being deceitful. I hope that makes sense, but there are some odd patterns that you hear in her tone specifically. Her body language doesn't do a whole bunch, but her tone certainly does. It displays some odd patterns. So either one, the times that she was recalling before are lies, or two, the time that she's recalling now is a lie, and it's hard to be able to differentiate which is which. One of them is odd, though. One of them is not true. I'd be more likely to believe that this would be the truth, because a lot of people use likes and ums and when they're trying to communicate and they're trying to think of what they're saying and how to say it, whereas the times before would be more likely to be deceitful because of the verbal patterning that displayed. I want to keep watching this and see if there's anything else that continues to affirm this picture that we're getting, that she is perhaps a little bit more guilty than we originally were led to believe.
They're going to take that information, and then an examiner who is skilled in looking at cell phone data is going to look at it to try to recover the deleted material that we're after.
I hope that they can get
the deleted material is what I'm after, obviously.
I know it is. I feel so bad.
I don't think she hopes that they can get it. So far, that specific pitch that you heard there, again, that tone and pitch, has been an indicator of stress on every other instance that it has revealed itself. I doubt that that's different this time. I don't think she really wants them to get everything back. But, I mean, what else would you say in that situation, regardless of your guilt or not? Would you say to them, yeah, I really don't want you. I hope you find nothing. I hope you can't get it. I hope it's gone. I hope it's gone like I deleted it to be. Because that would seem awfully suspicious. So when she's saying,
I hope that they can get it.
I just don't buy it. I don't buy it.
I did that. I didn't even, honestly, that's not even what I was thinking about. I was just did not want, any presence from him.
So you're okay with doing...
Blocking shame gesture there. This could be in relation to her shame of being involved with Chris, or it could be a blocking gesture in relation to deceit. Let's keep watching.
Take the whole phone. Awesome. Just take it. Because I feel like we've been trying to do this.
I'm going to put all data on here just for ease, okay? So read that and make sure you sign it, that you understand that we're going to take all the data. Once I have all that stuff, I'll get your phone back to you.
Okay? That's okay. I mean, I'm not even going to use it anymore. I'm going to just use this.
Okay. I'm going to still get it back to you as soon as we're done.
Okay.
All right. So next week sometime maybe.
Okay.
Or the week after or something.
That's kind of what I was seeing in that situation. There's nothing really to add at this point. I was able to resync the footage with the audio. There's going to be some more glitches in the actual video footage itself. You'll see what I mean. A lot of this was pretty unusable, so I'm doing the best that I can with what was offered. Let's keep watching.
So what you're doing now, let me ask you about the text with you and Charlotte.
Yes.
You talk about children, and he's got his own kids, and that makes you kind of uncomfortable because you'd like to have your own family. Put that in context for me. Is that a fair statement the way I'm saying it?
I mean, I guess. There was never anything I said to him though.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Did you ever say anything to him about
Never.
Anything about his kids being a problem? Anything about his wife being a problem?
Never. I always try to be so inclusive with them. And even with her, when I was talking to her, it wasn't.
That over-the-top never verbal pattern that she just presents there doesn't show up anywhere else in the previous times that he asked any questions that the answer was no to. I find it odd that she's so adamant about this one. Now, there's a couple reasons for that. Either one, it really, really is true, or it really isn't true and she's overcompensating. That seems to be more what the pattern would lie in from everything else that we've just observed. So during this sort of situation, I feel like she probably did say some things to Chris about this. In fact, I'm fairly certain that she did, but that's just because of her nonverbal communication. Let's watch the rest of this.
That his kids were an issue. It was just, this man already has a life. Should I go build my own, with somebody who hasn't done that yet? And then she was the one that was saying, I was engaged once and it didn't work, and now I'm engaged again, and she's trying to tell me, it doesn't matter, I'm on my second time of going through this, and she's like, I love this man very, very much, and she was saying, he's not gonna love you less because he's already been through marriage once and been separated and already had kids. Like, he's not going to...
Those references were never made to him, though, about children.
Never.
So Charlotte, that's who you were talking with.
Yeah.
I'm not so certain about that. Once again, that
Never.
it comes across as overcompensating, does it not? Does it not come across as an odd pattern compared to everything else that we've seen everywhere else throughout all of this? It never shows up. It just doesn't show up anywhere else until this point where he asks a very important question, and then this shows up. He's asked other important questions before, and it seems as though every time that an important question comes up, there's some oddity to her answer. And that's the case in this as well. She just presents this odd verbal pattern that I don't find to feel genuine. It comes across as compensational. It comes across as she's really trying to sell that she never said anything about that. I find it odd. To put it simply, I find it very odd.
So Charlotte is your friend. She's your closest friend.
Yeah.
You guys have this conversation, but it never went anywhere besides her and you.
Yeah,
You never mentioned it to Chris. You never said anything about your kids, or his kids, pardon me, damaging your guys' relationship.
No.
Or nothing like that.
Never. And I mean, and even in that, it wasn't like I never said that his kids were a problem. It was just like he already has a life. Like, I don't know about that.
So in light of what's occurred, though, what I'm trying to make sure is that there was never a conversation that you guys had that he might have thought that you were saying, I can't be with you if you have kids.
I wouldn't be with him if I couldn't.
Okay. So I'm just making 100% sure that those...
I promise you.
Okay.
Like, I really want you to pull these texts because all the stuff I've been telling you will, like,
okay.
sync up.
And I hope we can... I haven't been very lucky with your phones yet. They've been nothing but a pain. So this one's coming with me.
Okay, I think...
Jeez.
I know.
That was a pretty important question that was asked there, and she did her normal pitch change that we've heard before and other points of stress, and she also put a little bit of space between her and the person asking the question. Once again, another point of stress. I can never certainly say that a person is lying. Nobody who reads body language and is trained to detect possible deception can ever positively say that somebody is guaranteed to be lying. However, we can get pretty damn close, and I'm at that point that I feel pretty damn close to being positive about her lying. There's a little bit more for us to watch, and we'll talk about it.
It wasn't even really the kids, it was that, like, he'd already been married before, and I was just like, I don't know if I, like, am in a long-term relationship with this guy. Is that something he would eventually want? Because that's something, like, I would eventually want, you know?
So your concern was more about his prior marriage than his children?
I guess. I wasn't really that worried about him at that time. Like, if you read the majority of those texts, like, it's very, very flattering to him and all the nice things that I have to say about him. It was just that I wasn't, like, 100% committed to him yet. I mean, I was monogamous with him. I wasn't seeing any other men. But I wasn't like, hey, this is the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. And part of the reason that I was uncertain, I mean, yeah, he'd already built a life, but honestly, like, he wasn't out of the marriage that he was already in.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not going to go tell the whole world, like, hey, I've got this guy, and, you know, I'm going to take in his kids, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and it wasn't because I had any problems with him. It's just, he was married.
Okay.
Very interesting. So on this last little part here, I think she's telling the truth about this part. She didn't show any of the deception signals, the possible deception signals that we've seen throughout the rest of the interview at the other hot points. I really don't know that she was totally sold, but what I believe happened rather than what she presented is that she did in fact tell Chris, you have to get stuff cleared up for me to be in the picture. I don't think she was really committed to being the idea of a mistress for a guy who was married. I really think she wanted everybody out of the picture. She made it very clear that she didn't want his kids in the picture or his wife in the picture. And when she was asked about that, if she wanted them out of the picture, she showed a lot of stressors around that area. Now, it's not unheard of for a person to coax another person to do a crime. However, I don't think that Watts was totally manipulated into doing this crime. I don't feel like that was the case here. I feel like him and Nichole both wanted the wife and kids out of the picture. And I think that they were both in on the plan and how it was carried out. I'm not sure that Nichole had anything physically to do with their disappearance, but I do suspect and I do feel that Nichole did in fact encourage Chris to remove the problems. That is what her body language seemed to present throughout this entire interview. Let me know what you think, though. Are there some things that I missed? If so, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to be able to see more videos that are true crime based, let me know what they are. Once again, I know this is going to shock you, but in the comments below. However, if you do want to see them, I do really request that you go and support me in other ways than just viewing here through either Patreon or merch or Audible, because they help me keep the lights on while making these videos. Now, some of you had the question, which I know this is the end of the video and nobody's really listening now, but for those of you who are still here and you had the question, why do videos with backstories get demonetized? It's because the backstories have gruesome details in true crime stories that YouTube sees as inappropriate. So if I even say or mention what's going on in these stories, they will demonetize and sometimes even block my videos from being shown, period. So I have to kind of skip around that in order to be able to, one, pay the bills, or two, even be able to get the content out to you. I hope that makes sense to you. If you did like this video, please consider hitting the like button, hit subscribe to be able to see more videos, ring the bell, do the normal things, or honestly, don't do any of them if you just enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. But without further ado, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan and you have been oh so awesome as you always are. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.